Hello, everybody. This is Martha Hines, and I'm here with Verena Borell. And today we are going to be talking together about our perspective on some aspects of 2023. And, lots of astrologers are talking about the year ahead, of course, because it's December of 2022. And so we're all thinking ahead. And Verena and I have some interesting overlaps yet again in the way that our intuition, our spirit worlds are really speaking to us about what the major themes are likely to be this coming year and how that astrology is playing in really beautifully with all of that. So Verena, do you want to start with what do you see when you pan out and look ahead at 2023? What's a major thing that comes up for you, or major things? Where do you want to start?
I'm sure we will talk about many different aspects, but what I am seeing or what I'm feeling or what I'm sensing is that two major themes are that it is necessary that we find inner peace and inner clarity because there will be so much change. And the second thing is that it is super important to remember that we are connected with the earth and the cosmos and all that is, and that we are part of a bigger system. And why are these topics so important? It's because what I'm seeing is that 2022 was really like a preparation, and it's like we all had to go very deep. It was intense for many of us, and it was like a huge preparation of our ground, of our soil, and of our soul in a way. And now, when we are slowly but surely shifting into 2023, what came up for me is that this process, this deep purging, and I relate that when I have the astrological lens with the Pluto transits next year. Pluto will be squaring the lunar nodes for the whole year. It will dip into Aquarius and back in Capricorn. We will definitely talk about that. But this deep purging and clearing process continues in the next year, and then it slowly but surely shifts more and more into remembering of our soul's essence, of who we truly are, and this whole purging and clearing and death on a certain level, ego death of parts of us that are no longer serving us, that are maybe not ours actually, that we have taken over on a subconscious level, that everything that we are, that all of this inner work will lead to that we feel more and more what is our truth. And I have the feeling that within the next year, there will really the energy go up, and we will come more and more. On an individual level, it will happen faster. On a collective level, it will take years and decades, that new visions and new versions of ourselves can come, because we have prepared the ground. And for that reason, to close the circle, it is so important to do the inner work, to really become clear with all of these upheavals, these breaking downs of the systems, of structures, of change, so that the new can come. And there is so much change around us that it is really important, key, that we find in the midst of seemingly chaos, again and again, inner peace and calmness, and so that we can connect with our body, connect with the earth, connect with our higher guidance, and get inner clarity. I stop here because I think we are really in this phase in between, and I see it with Pluto, Capricorn. Pluto dances between Capricorn and Aquarius, so it's like the Tower card moment, so the breaking down of systems with Capricorn, but the new is not yet here, or not yet really, we have not a clear vision now. And so it's so important to do this inner work and to get clear and feel into our connection, so that we become who we truly are, slowly but surely. That will not happen in 2023. 2023 is the initiation for a far longer process. Yeah, I stop here.
Nice. Yes, well, and that fits very much with what I'm feeling and seeing. For me, if I had to give like an overarching theme to 2023 from what my vantage point at this moment, it would be the metamorphosis. So the Pluto squaring the nodes, it feels huge to me and brings the sense of the caterpillar entering the chrysalis and being in that chrysalis for the whole year, pretty much. And then, but the point being to then transform and soar as the butterfly that we are, right? And we're continuously in a metamorphosis process, I think, all the time in our lives in various ways, but on a collective level, just this seems like it's going to be really strongly imprinted in the whole energetic of the whole year. And then what I keep getting told in my praying, like this morning, for example, even the spirit world keeps emphasizing to me, today they said, everything begins with the healing of the nervous system. So I keep thinking about, for 2 decades, I was a clinical social worker, and I worked a lot with foster children and very highly traumatized babies and kids and parents and communities. And one of the really common things I did was I was a therapist working with foster parents and biological parents, actually, with newborns. And I mean, children of all ages, humans of all ages, but I worked a lot with babies. And one of the things I would do was talk with foster parents about how to help a traumatized baby, or even a traumatized toddler or a child, to, in a sense, rehabilitate from that trauma. And one of the biggest things that I would say to parents over and over and over again is that the baby or the child needs to, in a sense, come back to the womb. So let's say there was a 2 or a 3-year-old coming into a new home, and they had been witnessing all this domestic violence, and maybe, even maybe their parent was killed or whatever, some horrible trauma had been happening. They would come into the new home, and there would be chaos, like in the child's behavior. And then over time, as the child started to feel safe, the parent would tell me, oh, wow, this 3-year-old suddenly is, or 5-year-old is going from talking in a quote unquote age appropriate way to suddenly doing baby talk. And I would say, well, actually, that's what they need to, what they're instinctively knowing is they need to come back into an experience of being re-wombed, right? Like going back into the womb again. And that's what I'm feeling in a larger collective sense when the spirit world is telling me everything begins with the healing of the nervous system. It's like, in a sense, I feel like we all as a collective need to come back into the womb, because we are so traumatized as a world that we need to be supported to truly allow on a physiological level, to allow our nervous systems to start again, like start over from the beginning. And that's what I'm being guided in my work this coming year. And I'll say more about that toward the end, maybe, but even in my own healing work, in the workshops I'm holding, and in the all of the work I'm offering in the world, the starting place has to be to support people to get that nurturing of the nervous system and to feel safe and held on a very basic level. Because if our soul imperative, if on a soul level, we are trying to be the caterpillar going into the chrysalis to turn into the butterfly, that's not going to work very well or easily if we're not feeling safe on a really fundamental level. Yeah, go ahead.
Or if we are freaking out in the chrysalis.
Yes, yeah,
And
exactly. Yes.
Martha, while you were talking, I loved everything you said, and so many things came into my mind, or maybe more heart. So it's okay if I share, or what do you want to add something to that?
Well, I think the only other thing I would just add, but we'll talk about this because it's another theme that goes along with everything I think we're about to talk about. So I would say for me, the overarching theme that I'm seeing is this metamorphosis theme. And I'm going to make a whole separate video just on my own, just about that. But then I would say this first subtopic would be this need to nurture the nervous system and heal the nervous system. And then the other subtopic, which you and I both, before we started recording, realized we're both feeling this also, is this emphasis on remembering that we are Earth. That's the way my guides put it. There's this very strong need for us to heal our nervous system, and also related, this extreme need to remember ourselves as Earth, and they go together. So I can say more about that later, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. It's so interesting that we both received these messages a little in different nuances, but this message is about calmness, calming down, getting clear inside, and the reconnection with everything that is. And what was coming up while you were talking is, first of all, I think it is no coincidence that we have a Mars retrograde in Gemini before Pluto dips into Aquarius. So I experienced this Mars retrograde in Gemini as everybody, or many of us, feel that it is really important to get aware of our nervous system and to become more and more conscious how our thoughts can bring us into fear. So I think that is like a preparation, the Mars retrograde in Gemini, to really become aware how important that is, that we not become the victims of our own nervous thinking patterns and our own system. And what came up for me so strongly while you were talking were two things. The one thing is that my guides are all the time so my spirit guides are all the time telling me that it is from huge importance that we become very clear that the healing of the world is the healing of the individual soul, and that it all starts with our own individual healing. And I see all of these processes, all of these up-leveling that we will experience within the next years on an individual level, this receiving of new visions and this coming back to a more soulful version of ourselves, and this clearing from old patterns and old conditioning that are limiting our growth. This will happen on an individual level. Within the next years, on a collective level, within the next decades. But it is from huge importance that we really tend to our own healing process. And I think astrology or body work or something like that are wonderful methods that can support us to remember who we truly are, and that we are all connected, that everything is connected. And when you were talking about this experience, that it might be important to, on an individual and collective level, go back into like the safety of a room to a certain degree, or in very safe containers, to have this so that you can can live in a world where everything changes without going mad or freaking out, Saturn enters into Pisces. Saturn, healthy structures, Pisces, the cosmic womb.
Wow.
I have never thought about that.
Me
But
neither. Mhm.
I have because what I was feeling so strongly with Saturn in Pisces is that Saturn will enter Pisces in March and Pluto will enter Aquarius in March. And I was feeling that Saturn in Pisces really symbolizes for me the do you say delusion, or the dissolving of structures that are not in alignment any longer with our truth. So dissolving Pisces structures, Saturn, that are not in alignment, and the finding back to more loving structures, more structures that help us to flow in a way. And now you're coming with this this containers, womb energy, and it feels very related in a way. And I think this will be very important because I can imagine that, especially on a collective level, the Saturn in Pisces energy, maybe structures outside will dissolve, and maybe many people will become afraid of because of that. So I think it is even more important to really find places where we can find inner peace, so that we really act in alignment. And I think that at the same time, when I look at the transit of Jupiter or even the Venus retrograde in Leo, I have the feeling too that what you said about the metamorphosis and that we are going into the chrysalis, I have the feeling that there is, on the one hand, there's huge potential for healing and for deep clearing and deep purging and deep healing. And on the other hand, there's really the opportunity and the possibility that we receive actually new visions and that we step more and more into our power. So with this Venus retrograde in Leo, the whole Venus cycle that starts in Leo, Jupiter going into Aries and into Taurus, I think Pluto entering Aquarius, so really opening up to completely new dimensions in a way. I think that we have next year already, even though it is an initiation and it is not yet here, but there is like getting a glimpse over the summer what might be possible for us when we are really acting from our soul's desire, Pluto, and our soul's truth.
Yeah. One thing I was just wondering as you're talking is Saturn has been in Aquarius, which is also in a sense about visioning new structures, right? So there's this nuance of a difference between the Saturn in Aquarius versus Saturn in Pisces, both with this potential to break down or dissolve or liberate, and Aquarius liberate our sense of what structure should be. But I wonder if one key element in the Saturn moving into Pisces is an element of forgiving, like forgiveness that so like if we have a lot of ideas around the structures that we have had in place that we no longer like, there's a potential, I think, maybe in the more of the Aquarian version for there to be a traumatic sense of breaking that, with a lightning bolt, no, we have this set structure that we think should be there, and no, we're going to break that with this lightning and it's going to burst apart, versus Saturn in Pisces, maybe like you said, is more of the dissolving with a sense of forgiving. So it's a more potential for a more soothing a way of letting go of the old structures that's more conducive to nurturing the nervous system. Like Saturn in Aquarius to me isn't necessarily particularly soothing. Do you see what I'm
No, I completely agree with you. And I had another thought too that plays into that. With Saturn in Aquarius, and I experienced that individually, Aquarius has this objective observer quality. And I think we became very aware of what structures are no longer working, especially in the combination with Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn. So really this Pluto is like shaking everything up and saying, people, humankind, it's no longer working. The systems that you have built for centuries are actually exploiting the earth, everybody, every soul. We have to break it down. And Saturn in Aquarius was like, okay, let's see what is not working any longer. What structures do we need to have to decondition and to see them from the outside very objectively and invite new visions. And I have the feeling with Saturn in Pisces, everything is washed away. So with Saturn in Aquarius, you became on an individual level, you became aware of your patterns that are no longer serving you. And I think with Saturn in Pisces now, there might be the possibility to forgive yourself, that you have played over lifetime within these limits, and to really wash it all away so that you can swim freely. And then comes the challenge that you have to learn to swim. You have to learn how to feel safe within a more free life, because we are all over lifetimes used to be prisoners. And I think there is this, and I am a little bit, I don't want to be said, don't want to say afraid, but there might be, some people might be overwhelmed by too much freedom. So it is so important, I think, that Saturn in Pisces might teach us to get so connected to the divine inside of us, to our self-authority, that we can enjoy swimming freely into the ocean and not feel that we have to stick to old structures that we don't get drawn underneath the sea. So yeah,
for me, Saturn is about alignment. So if we can find our actual true real alignment and grounding, for me it's in the earth, in our heart, and in source, all as one entity. That would be a really high expression of Saturn in Aquarius to me.
Maybe trust that when you allow the old, that it is washing away, that you trust that you will always have very natural structures that are no longer limiting you. And we both talked so much about Saturn as this loving cup that holds liquid, or this nourishing and nurturing, this hand that holds you. And I think especially in Pisces, I have this image of like a bowl or like something like that, where you can flow freely, but you feel safe within your life, within your soul, within your body.
Beautiful. Yeah. So there are many other directions we could go. Are you feeling called to one in particular? I have a couple of thoughts, but is there anything drawing you?
There are so many things. So maybe you start when you have a direction. I think we will find our way.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, so I was just gonna outline for everybody the major transits that you and I both see, and we both have things that we're offering where we go much more into depth on all of it, and we'll talk about that more later. But just to give the basic gist, you and I both have identified the same things. Number one, Pluto will be going back and forth, like you said, Aquarius, back into Capricorn, and then back into Aquarius. And it will be squaring the nodes of the moon effectively for the whole year, but precisely for actually almost an entire week in July, the exact same time that the nodes switch signs from Scorpio and Taurus into Aries and Libra. So I think July is going to be a huge, March is going to be huge. July is going to be huge. And then various things are happening in the fall as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Venus will go retrograde in July too.
That's what I was just about to say. So then also a major one is that Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo. I think it's July 22nd, something like that. So there's like a week or so in July, in the middle of July, where the nodes of the moon are going to switch. Pluto will be squaring the nodes precisely. And then right after that, or right in the mix of that, Venus is going to go retrograde in Leo, and Venus will be the ruler, will have been the ruler of the North node, and she will then become the ruler of the South node. So that whole combination in July is just off the chart. So that's like a whole topic we could talk about if you want. And then the other two big things, if I'm remembering correctly, are Jupiter is going to be just flying through Aries. It's going to go into Aries at the end of 2020, very soon, coming up right when we're making this video, right in the next few weeks. It'll enter December what?
December 20th.
Yeah, okay, December 20th. So before we enter 2023, Jupiter will enter Aries, and then it'll fly all the way through Aries and enter Taurus. Do you have that in front of you? Is it April?
It's May.
May, okay.
It's, the middle of May.
So Jupiter will enter Taurus in
May 16th.
May 16, okay. May 16 of 2023, and then it will go up to 15 degrees of Taurus and then go retrograde in Taurus, and then not re-enter Aries. So it's going to spend most of the year, the majority of the year actually in Taurus. And when it's in Taurus, it's going to conjunct the North node of the moon very soon after it enters Taurus. And that degree where it goes retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus is also going to be one of the degrees that Mercury is going to make a retrograde earlier in the year, in April. And so another one of the major transits happening of 2023 is that all of the Mercury retrogrades, which is a total of 4 in the year, are all going to be in Earth signs. We're going to enter 2023 with Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, and then later it will go retrograde in Taurus in April, and then it'll go retrograde in Virgo, and at the end of 2023 it'll go retrograde again in Capricorn. So we're going to have this theme with Jupiter and Mercury of this Earth emphasis. So those are like the big, did I miss something there? Oh, Saturn entering Pisces. Yeah, in March. So those are the—
And will not go back.
Right.
Saturn will stay in Pisces, so no dip back into Aquarius.
It's going to go retrograde, I think, at 7 degrees of Pisces, and then it'll go direct at 0 degrees of Pisces. So it will, once it enters Pisces, it'll be there. So that's just the overarching big things. And in a separate video in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about what we see in the goddess transits of the year too. But this is just like the basic bare bones astrology themes here. Do you want to talk a little bit about July and what you're seeing there? We talked a bit about March already.
Yeah, sure, because I think we talked a little bit about Saturn and Pisces and about Pluto. So, I mean, there are tons of other things to say, but I think we should really trust that what is coming up now is perfect for this little video. And as you said, we both have our offerings where we go more in depth into every transit, or yeah. July. So for me, it feels really like especially with the Venus retrograde in Leo and the start of a new 80-month Venus cycle in Leo. And at the same time, we have the lunar node shift into Aries. So staying with Venus. So Venus was the planetary ruler of the North Node in Taurus this year and for the whole lunar nodes cycle for 18 months. So, and I have the feeling that with this lunar node shift, so we did so much inner groundwork with Scorpio South Node, and so what is ready to die? Where are we emotionally maybe entangled in an unhealthy way, and what are our true values? And then it shifts into Aries and Libra, and Venus is is in her reset phase. For me, the retrograde is really a reset phase. And when she's behind the sun, that is for me the underworld, and the retrograde is really a reset and the new cycle starts. So that feels for me like now we know what is really worthy and what are our natural needs with Taurus, and then Aries North Node and Libra South Node. And that is for me a huge possibility, especially with Pluto squaring the nodes at that time and with Venus going retrograde, to really let go of all situations in our life where we are doing things because we think that others expect them from us, where we in relationships where we are in a way dependent. And I think especially this topic around expectations. Pluto is going back into Capricorn, and for me, Capricorn Libra, this natural square between Capricorn and Libra, is so much about I am doing what others expect from me so that I can feel safe and loved. And I think that on many levels, many of us are still doing that, even though we are maybe not aware of that. In our working relationships, how we are related to our friends, to our family. I think that with the whole lunar node cycle in Aries and Libra kicking off during this powerful month of July, it's really about, okay, Venus in Leo, what do I actually want to express? What is my way of self-actualization when I am letting go of any thoughts who might applaud me or not? Aries North Node, what do I truly want? Who am I? So Aries is Leo is the expression of the self and the self-actualization. So really the peak of the ego development, and Aries is the initiation of the I am. That is really, who am I? What do I want? I want to try something new. I want to try to be me. I want to try to individuate in a good and healthy way. And I think there is so much energy around, okay, I allow myself to, now that I have done all of these inner work during the last 18 months with the lunar nodes in Scorpio and with Pluto and all the things. And now I allow myself to really step away, Venus retrograde, and see where I am still in this feelings of I have to fulfill expectations. And what do I really want? And what is my way? And for me, the Jupiter in Aries at the beginning of the year is like a preparation for then the lunar node shift into Aries and Venus going into Leo. It's like Jupiter gives us some courage and says, okay, try new things. See it as a journey. See everything that happens as an adventure. Try, initiate, Everything that is happening is just a huge learning, and you will gain wisdom by making new experiences. And then the lunar nodes shift, and it's like, yeah, the topic is taking over. And yeah, I stop here. I would love to hear what you are thinking about that.
I love everything you just said. I hadn't thought about the fact that Jupiter will be in Aries before the North Node enters Aries. So it's, yes, that's amazing. And I love the perspective that Jupiter in Aries encourages us to think of it as an adventure moving into this whole way of being. Yeah. I have two other main thoughts. One is, yes, that's also a big part of what I think of when I think of Aries Libra, is this dance between self and others and my needs versus your needs. But I feel like with Pluto squaring those nodes, it's all almost like a dissolving or a death of our sense of dichotomy and of self versus other, that's actually an illusion, right? Like that it's actually that we don't necessarily need to have this separation between self and other in the same way that we've been thinking of it. Like, in other words, we think of Aries, and I would say also Leo, as potentially overly narcissistic, right? Which it definitely can be.
Shadow, but yes.
Yes. But, and then some humans, I would say, have more of a tendency to be that narcissistic version of Aries, Leo-ish kind of energy. And some people have a tendency to way overdo the Libra people-pleasing thing. And some people do both. And then there's also really healthy versions of both. So I think I'm like struggling to put it all into words, but I think one of the opportunities of Pluto squaring the nodes in Aries and Libra is unearthing this idea that there even is a difference between you and me, and that there's something either wrong with me needing what I need, and that there's there's a war between what you need and what I need, right? Like, so really, I feel like you were saying, the Venus in Leo happening at the same time that the Pluto is squaring the nodes in Aries and Libra can be supporting us to come back into the sense of Leo. For me, my favorite image of Leo is going into my body and imagining myself as a flower, right? And flower with the sun and the sunlight coming into my body and doing a dance of helping the petals of me to open. Not because I'm being narcissistic. This is not about me like being exhibitionist or something. It's about each of us is a flower, literally a being, a masterpiece of the divine. That is what we are. And we were created, we came into manifestation to be in a fully open dance at some points in our life with creation, which is, the sun, like with source. We're in a dance with source. We are source. And so like the sun helps the petals of a flower to fully bloom. And sometimes the petals need to be closed and sometimes they need to be open. They're in a natural dance and they know the rhythm as they're in concert with the sun, the earth, the water, all of it. So for me, the highest expression of this Leo energy, or the expression of it that feels the best in my own body, is when I remember what that is like. It's not a sense of being on the stage and I'm the center of attention and it's all about me. It's actually the most selfless act you can give, which is to allow the sun to open you up all the way so that you can be the full expression of that masterpiece that you are here to be, right? And so similar with Aries, if we don't have that, if we don't sort of surrender to the spark of the divine that is us, that needs to express, like move out of Pisces, move out of the all that is, and express as one individual spark, we're doing a disservice to the world. So we need both. We need the Aries, we need the Leo, we need the Libra, like we need all of it all at the same time. And so I feel like, yeah, Pluto maybe helps us to get it, that it is actually one thing. It's not a warring faction against each other. And I have one other thing, but I don't know if you want to respond to any of that.
I love what you said about the Leo energy. For me, what I experience as a very high expression of Leo is really this deep knowledge that all the light that wants to be expressed and comes through me and me as the flower, that all of this light is coming from source. Mm-hmm. And that I am here to express the light, the divine light that is me and that is also source. So all creative power and all creative energy that everybody has, I don't think about creativity as painting or something like that. It can be, but it has not to be. So this really living our life as a creator in the deep knowing that we are sourced by the divine light. And I think with Venus in Leo, after she has finished her 18-month cycle in Capricorn, and I experienced the whole Venus in Capricorn cycle is so much about deconditioning, stepping away from conditioned role models in regard to gender too.
That's what I'm about to talk about.
Yeah, definitely this topic around gender and really becoming aware of what we have taken over from society, from our upbringing. And now, I mean, in the natural zodiac, there is an inconjunct between Leo and Capricorn. So it's really like now we have freed ourselves slowly but surely and stepped more into our self-authority from the heart, Venus. We now feel able. So I have really this picture of, okay, I put away this very tight corset of Venus and Capricorn, and now I can actually discover myself as this heartful light that I am. And I just have to be me, and then I will be a gift and serve the collective. And now we are in the opposite sign of Leo, Aquarius, and there is Pluto dipping in. So this whole Venus cycle, when Venus is in the whole Venus in Leo cycle, which lasts until 2025, when I'm right, 18 months. I look it up. I don't want to say anything. 2024, sorry. The Venus cycle in Leo will last 18 months until 2024. Will happen during Pluto dips into Aquarius again. So we have that is express yourself from the heart, just be you, and you will serve the collective, and you will, that is the shift, that is the new you, actually the light that you already are, but that you have forgotten.
Yes, and I think it's like another, just to add to that also, that it's not only the light of you that's coming through your heart, it's actually source.
Yeah.
Moving as you. So it's not even actually you.
No,
you are source.
And that is what I meant when I said the highest expression of Leo is that I understand that everything, every creative energy, everything that is coming through me is coming from a higher power, but that it is so important. And I love that you said with the Aries energy, a healthy energy, that your soul decided to incarnate on planet Earth. That means that you are in a body that is separate. And that's important because it's the divinity that comes into many facets, and the many facets, the many different sparkles that is every individual soul. So in Aries, we have this remembering of where we come from, Pisces. And now I can, to gain more wisdom on a soul level, to gain more experience on a soul level, I now step into my individuation process and give this beautiful play of life, some life, so to say.
And then the other part I just want to add in about Pluto squaring the nodes in Aries and Libra that you touched on is I definitely feel that the whole conversation around gender and deconstructing our concepts of gender and the structures of gender is going to be huge. And I say this on a personal level just because my own teenager is very, very, very much in their own gender identity experience and journey. So, it's very much in my personal life. But I think on a collective level, when I look at that transit, I just go, whoa. And a lot of people listening to this video, if you're on my YouTube channel, you may have been a part of the Rebecoming the One symposium that I held last June. So I got very clear guidance last week or 2 weeks ago to definitely hold the second one, which will be in June of 2023. And Verena was a speaker then in the first one, and I think will be a speaker in the second one. So so that's going to be held differently, but it feels so key and so important to hold. Like I get shown very specifically to hold it in June, and I keep kind of questioning, should I hold it in July? And I keep getting no, hold it in June, similar timing right before the summer solstice for whatever reason. But when I look at the transits of July, I go, okay, so we will be having these conversations about gender and sexuality just as we're leading into this whole amazingness of July, whatever it's going to be. Did you have you look like you have something you want to say?
First of all, I would love to be there as a speaker again. I was just thinking about that. My talk for the last symposium had the title, "The Soul Has No Gender." Mm-hmm. And we have Saturn moving into Pisces too. Mm-hmm. So Saturn in a shadow quality, rigid roles, gender roles, going into Pisces, where we learn that we are all connected and it's actually just love. It's just about love. Gender doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And nothing doesn't matter in Pisces. We are all love. And then Pluto squaring the lunar nodes, then this Aries Libra thing that is really, this is this yin yang energy with Pluto in Capricorn in the last degrees, and then Pluto in Aquarius. And I mean, Aquarius is so much about the individual soul. It doesn't matter where you come from, what gender you are, or what gender identity you have, it doesn't matter. So I think that there will be huge shifts, and I really hope that because we are still so stuck into certain paradigms around gender roles, and there's no equality, and there are so many souls that are, there is no equality. And no. I really have the hope, and everything starts with us. So every soul has a free will. So it's about us, how we want to interact with these overarching energy themes that are mirrored by the stars, the planets. So it's all about us, how we will choose to live these energies. And my hope is that, we will use them to really rise our consciousness and to return to love and our natural way of living, and go away from these distorted Capricorn qualities and come back to a natural Capricorn quality.
Yeah, and I think that's a whole, not only is it a whole discussion, it is an entire symposium and multiple years of symposium. So yes, lots more to come with that. I think on one basic level, I definitely feel like this up and coming generation, part of their huge role as they're going through their own, beginning to identify as gender fluid or transgender or all of the above or whatever it is for them. It's like a big wave, like a big tsunami coming through our whole society saying, oh no, this is not going to happen anymore. Sorry. Like, for example, even my 10-year-old this morning was talking about how in her 5th grade class, they keep doing girls versus boys in PE in like sports during school. Girls, girls against boys. Like one team is a girl team and one girl team is a boy
That's
team.
1980s.
It's like, what are we doing? Oh my God, I have such a problem with that for so many reasons, right? It's like, no, absolutely not. Like, we're not going to fight, quote unquote, girls versus boys anymore. This is not how our world should be operating. It never should have operated this way. Stop. We're just doing it all over. We're starting over here. This is not good. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and what you're saying is, for me, when we think about Pluto in Capricorn squaring the lunar nodes in a very healthy way, it's Pluto shaking up where we have put our authority outside of ourselves. And really, I think this topic around self-authority, and I am doing what is good for me. And I express myself in a way that is good for me. And I neither have to do the extreme Libra thing and do everything that others expect from me, nor do I have an unhealthy Aries thing that in order to survive, I just put my head and do just what I want. And Pluto in a healthy Capricorn energy might be, okay, I really come into alignment, with my true values. I'm self-responsible. Yes, I take into consideration what others' perspectives are there, but I feel that the authority is within me, and that I am able to be responsible to respond to what is coming up and to stay with my feet on the ground. And that is now the bridge to the Mercury retrogrades in earth signs. Find my own role that is natural for me. And then when I found that inner safety and inner security and inner stability, then Pluto in Aquarius, then I can open up to new ideas. Because I think when you are healthily rooted, then you can grow even more and really become free from conditioning, so that you can receive the Aquarian visions for a completely new world that we will build, hopefully in the next decades on a collective level.
Mm-hmm. Yes, beautiful. And the one last thing I'll say about that symposium coming up is just the 2022 version is still available for free. It's always free indefinitely, and you can find it on my website at livingtheonelight.com. But if you have any suggestions or requests or just input you want to give to, as I'm visioning and as those of us who are going to be putting it together are visioning the 2023 version, I'm really wanting that. I'm actually thinking I'm going to hold some kind of gathering for free for anybody who does want to give me feedback or suggestions for the 2023 version, because I really want it to be a grassroots from the people way of thinking. Yes, exactly that. So yeah, I just throw that out there. Feel free to contact me and I will send out an email just inviting feedback and inviting input, because that's really important in the way that the 2023 version is done. So yeah, just want to throw that out into into the ethers. Yeah, and I think the very last thing we were going to talk about, I feel like we should wrap it up because of time, is the one thing we haven't talked about is the remembering ourselves as Earth theme that you and I are both feeling, I think, in the Jupiter going into Taurus, retrograding at 15 degrees Taurus, and then also all of the Mercury retrogrades will be in Earth signs, including one of them in April will be going retrograde at that same point, that 15 degrees Taurus point. So I know that we're both going to be talking about that in the other offerings that we're doing, which we can talk about here. But is there some little thing you want to just highlight about that theme that we haven't touched on?
For me, it feels like little, very important. These Mercury retrogrades feel like from huge importance, like breaks, divinely guided breaks within these very upheaval and very loaded and these huge changes. And it seems like these Mercury retrogrades in Earth signs invite us to really allow ourselves to digest everything that we experienced, everything that we learned, to really trust our body wisdom, really let come from our head into our heart, into our body, into the earth. And let everything sink that we have experienced to really intensely, like give us, yeah, that we give ourselves really the time. Taurus, find your own pace, rest, digest in Virgo, see what you want to build in Capricorn, but really come to, calm down.
Which brings us back to the beginning of this video where we talked about the big theme of healing our nervous systems, which is the tie that I would make also with this remembering ourselves as Earth, is what I get told over and over and over again. And I've talked about it in other videos I've done, is the spirit world just says it's so key, so important to remember, literally remember ourselves as Earth, come back into the rhythm, our natural rhythm as a body, as a being of Earth. And they say, you know, what would life be like if we really truly remembered that pace, that rhythm that is naturally us, as the ocean, as the starlight, as a mountain, as a tree, as a butterfly. It would be very, very slow, I think, compared to most of human existence, at least in the industrialized version of human life. And that is just that slowing way down. Taurus, you know, feels extremely important in terms of that re-regulating, co-regulating, and healing of our nervous systems, which, like I said at the beginning, is what the spirit world keeps saying to me. Everything starts with the healing of the nervous system. So anyway, so much in our upcoming year, I feel like, is gonna, not so much Jupiter in Aries, but then when Jupiter is in Taurus and then retrograde in Taurus. And well, okay, the North Node will still be in Taurus while Jupiter is in Aries. So we'll kind of we have a flavor of it through the whole year. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I think to, I love what you said about this earth energy, and maybe to wrap it up, for me, it feels really like that the last years, so the last 5 to 10 years, there was really this intense shake-up and deconstruction. And now I have the feeling, or what I'm being told, is that 2023 is the first initiation onto a new level, so to say. And then it is building into something new, and to be really, so to to step forward. I don't like the image of stepping forward or but to rise in a way. It's so important that we do the inner work, that we really don't be afraid of preparing the ground so that this new seeds can come into a healthy soil, and to stay, to really align more and more with our truth, and to really get it. For me, it feels like a huge on a collective level, like a huge liberation process in which we are, the liberation from paradigms that are restrictive and that are limiting everything that is our soul's truth, and which, because I believe that our soul's truth is love. And there are so many things that are wrapped around that, and we are getting rid of all of that so that we can really create a new earth on earth without zooming away, because that would be a shadow of Aquarius. So it is important to remember that our soul has chosen to incarnate in a body on planet Earth, and now we are here and we can build something very beautiful. Yeah.
Wonderful. That feels complete to me. Do you want to share about what you have coming up and what you're offering?
Yeah, sure. I have a video forecast which includes, I think, 4 or 5 videos with a length of 2 or more hours and a workbook about the upcoming year, but this is in German language, so I'm working in both languages. And so if you understand German, feel free to buy my video forecast. And I have another, what I'm offering in English language are one-on-one evolutionary astrology sessions. So yeah, it's on the base of evolutionary astrology, but I mix it with my own intuition and a little bit with the Akashic records too. So if you want to know what the new year will bring to you, or if you want to know, gain more clarity about your soul's path in general, so feel free to send me an email and I will send you information. And then I'm actually planning to do my first longer English, my longer astrology course in English language. So I have already taught several programs in German language, but I'm being told to launch my first English astrology program in 2023, which will be all about the healing potential of transits. So really all of these energies that we are now talked about in real life at the time when they are happening, that we tune and interact with them and their healing, discover their healing potential and their potential for evolution and growth. And so if that sounds interesting, there is already a waiting list. And my last thing that I really want to share with you is that my German astrology program, which is called Living Astrology Intense, which is all about deepening astrological wisdom and living astrology. So really getting into the experiences and into our body, and feel the energies in our body. And this is a 6-month container. It's a beautiful, beautiful program. I got so wonderful feedback from the first round, and the second round now starts on winter solstice. The live classes start in January. So if you understand and speak German, if you are interested in really deepening your wisdom and feel and live astrology, then join the program. We have still a few seats, some free spots. And I think together with Martha, the two of us will hold a beautiful asteroid goddess series in the next year. But I think, we maybe talk about that in the video when we are doing the goddesses in 2023. a little bit further. So, but if that sounds interesting for you, you can, I think, join my newsletter list or join Martha's newsletter list, and you will be updated there. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I am offering on December 14th. That's the thing I have coming up the soonest, which is, it's going to be a workshop called The Metamorphosis of You in 2023. So it's going to focus on, I'm going to cover the astrology of 2023 in a similar way to what we talked about today, but that's not actually the point of the workshop. The point of the workshop is going to be to hold space for you to drop into the deep wisdom, the deep knowing on a soul level of what is alive for you. I mean, we're all like I said at the beginning, we're all in a constant transformational process and healing process. That's just life on earth. But this energy of this 2023 year is so strongly emphasizing that metamorphosis experience. And it's going to be different for each of us. Some of us might not feel it at all. And some people might feel it on an incredibly intense level and anywhere in between. And it'll, it can manifest in so many different ways and in so many different parts of our lives. So the only person who can really know what that is you in the moment. And so I can look, for example, ahead at somebody's chart and think, okay, I could imagine this metamorphosis, change, transformation process being most alive in XYZ area of their life or areas, but I can't really know. I can't predict anything. And so the point of this workshop is going to be really, I'm going to channel and hold a sacred container first for us each to come into our own deep soul wisdom. What's alive, what moves through each of us in this moment on December 14th, or whenever you listen to the recording. What does your soul say? What does your soul know is alive for transforming and healing in this coming year? And then we'll look at the astrology and see how that might interact. I'll give you some tips for how to look at how that might interact with your own chart. And then in addition, I'm offering, and for anybody who signs up for the workshop, there's discounted personal report, like a written report and or a personal session with me to look at the year ahead. And then I'm also going to be offering a membership. I already have a membership, but starting in 2023, the membership is going to shift a tiny bit to really, really fully support people who are in, one way you could put it is in this awakening process of truly coming into the fullness of who you are on a soul level. So I already have several people working with me who fit that bill, fit that description. And that's really my soul's calling, is to be here on the planet, to be doing that. That's what all three of my first books are about. They're all channeled and they're really all about supporting us in our own awakening process. So this membership that I already have is going to shift to really nurture on various levels what we need in order to feel safe and held and seen and, held in community, held by the divine, to naturally do what we need to do as that caterpillar who comes into the chrysalis and then over time soars as the butterfly. So I'm going to be making a separate video all about that. Yeah, and other things coming up, but the goddess series we'll talk more about in our next video together. And I think that's everything I feel like I want to highlight right this second. So you can contact me at livingtheonelight@gmail.com or my website, livingtheonelight.com. And Verena, all of your contact information will be here, but do you want to say?
Yeah, for me, it's good if you are English speaking. My homepage does not make any sense, so you can find me on Instagram, and you find my Instagram handle in the description of the video. And you can sign up for my newsletter. I have a newsletter list in German and English language. And yeah, maybe just and I have my own YouTube channel in the case that you are watching that on the EA Zoom YouTube channel. So you find all my information in the description. And just to say it because you so wonderfully put it into words why your soul is here. And I think that I just want to add that, and it is one reason why we are doing this Goddess series, I think too, is that I feel so, my soul's calling is so strongly about really supporting others to become aware of all these patterns that are not true, and to really come back and to rise our consciousness, and to really come back into the light that we are, and in our soul's essence, and to live really from our soul and from our heart. And I think that I really love that we both have so similar soul's callings. And I feel that this Asteroid Goddess series that we are planning is another expression of this support and encouragement, and help others to really remember their true essence, and maybe experience themselves in new roles, and roles that feel more natural than the roles that we have been pressed into by systems that are not ours any longer. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. I hadn't clicked that together and you did it perfectly. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for watching. We would love to hear what you think and what you feel. So feel free to contact me and Martha via mail, and to put everything you think and feel in the comments of the video. And yes, thank you for watching.
Yes, we love comments. We really appreciate it when you click. If you like it, click like, so we know you like it, because it really does help us to know what to do more of or less of, or whatever. So just, yes, we would love communication in whatever form feels right for you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.